Hey everyone, Yan Zhao here. Today I have the oft promised but seldom delivered part 1 review for Jawbreakers Godking. Thanks for coming back, everyone. So the book from Ya Boi Zack, the sequel to last year's famed Jawbreakers Lost Souls. This is Godking. I actually made this video twice now. And one time it just, I don't know, died on me. I couldn't get the file back. The second time it turned into like a 30-minute mess. So I'm just gonna do 2 videos, one on the book itself, one on the art. So let's take a look. This is a nice quality print. There were people complaining about fluting or whatever in other comic professionals' books. You don't see any of that here. Perfect bound, nice and glossy. Everything seems on center. The inside paper seems, it feels almost slightly thin, but it's a bit glossy. It's got a slight texture to it. Overall, quite nice. So this book, like the last one, has several different parts. The main part of the last one was a monkey story where Zack wrote it, John Malin drew it, Brett Smith's colors. And the other stories in there, I really couldn't tell you what happened because I don't remember at all. I think I didn't like the art stylings of them, so it just kind of dissolved off my brain. But this one is kind of the polar opposite, where the Godking story, although I liked it in general, it was the weakest of the 3. Or, well, let's say, we're not counting Desolation Wave. That's a preview. But you've got the main story, Godking, Shashi Respawn, which brings back the much beloved character from the last one. It is a lady that Kuff was in love with and boning about 20 minutes after meeting. So you know she's quality. And then you have Devil Dog Origin, which according to Zack, he wrote the outline, the draft, I'm not quite sure what you call it, but the script itself is by Chuck Dixon. I sort of have questions about all 3 of these, but these 2, Shashi and Devil Dog, are by far the superior works in this book. All right, so let's get into it. One nice thing I like, something I complain about a lot of these books, is that there's a recap for the people who didn't buy the first one. This is, like I complain about this with alternative books where, you know, people will crowdfund a graphic novel, then they will get released on a monthly or bi-monthly schedule with Alterna, but in the second graphic novel, I have no idea what happened in the first graphic novel, so it's somewhat hard to jump into. This one at least kind of like fills you in. Now, did this happen in the last book? I don't remember. In the review, you have Devil Dog dead from a psionic mine. All right, interesting. Now, one thing I think Zack did not go far enough with is something he actually talked about after Lost Souls came out. He said, you know, a lot of people complained that they didn't know the Jawbreakers and they didn't know their powers. Well, you know, he didn't fix that here. You had this nice review, you easily could have thrown in what they do. Now, Knife Hand, obviously, it's going to be something with knives in his hands. Silkworm, I mean, you would probably assume that the silk came out of his butt. However, it does not. But Kuff's like, I don't know, he rolls his jeans up? I don't know. But at any rate, so they meet their nemesises, the dirt dragons, who, were they in another one? See, I don't remember. But at any rate, we have nice action scenes. And part of the issue I have is, so Devil Dog is dead. Somewhere around here, Knife Hand goes rogue. They kill all the ninjas from his clan, so nobody's after him anymore. He doesn't need to be with the Jawbreakers. So this story is mostly about Silkworm and Kuffs, and then that blonde chick who had a mask that looked like Devil Dog. Oh, and then Hell Priest is like hanging out. So there's a bunch of nice action. The dialogue is more or less okay. There was a couple parts that, see if I can find it. You have Kuff saying something like, "I'm gonna get the brothers down here," and it's like, ooh, I don't know. As a white guy, I probably would not have written that one. But, okay. So we have Knife Hand dies. Then they go and get this giant robot that's like hanging out in under the river near Manhattan, which I guess they took down in another story, but was it this story? Man, I have no idea. All right, so you got that. Then Hell Priest is here. He's got this gun, which is like the Big Bang gun or something. It can end the universe. What? Where did this stuff come from? Little nod to some friends. Yeah, here you go. The weapon that shot the singularity and ignited the Big Bang. Oh, the God gun, that's what it's called. The truth of the universe edited out of your book of lies. Okay. All right, sure. Why is there a gun, and where does this come from? Was this explained in a story? I remember a B story about vampires last time. That's about it. All right, so at any rate, they think that he kills Kuffs. Oh, he's finally fighting the, and for as much as Zack likes to crap on Marvel for having a white, blonde-haired villain. Oh, look who the villain is. Okay, Zack. So Silkworm tries to save his buddy, fighting the God King, blah, 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 blah. Now, here's an interesting part. So you have sort of Lovecraftian elder gods. I don't remember them showing up at all in any of the other stuff. Like, I guess one of the problems I have with this book, with the God King story specifically, is there's a lot of backstory I feel like I'm missing, right? Like, I feel like there should be a different book between Lost Souls and this one. But, skip near the end. Okay, so pretty much everybody ends up dead except for Kuffs and Silkworm. So another problem I have with this is like, okay, it feels like a very ending. Like, this is it. This is the end of the Jawbreakers story. And I saw Zack say on, I can't remember if it was one of his shows or one of Ethan's, that he's got more with the Jawbreakers planned, some before this and some after this. Like, man, why would you do this now? This is like maybe your fifth outing. You know, once you built up the characters a little more, and I'm a little more attached to them. I understand that he is, but it's just like, oh, everybody died. Okay. Now it does have a nice ending with Silkworm coming in, and he meets his daughter, a very blonde daughter, and they're happy again or something. Also, why is he still wearing these wrist braces? All right. So this one was, it was okay, but just kind of it left me a little more confused, I suppose, than anything else. I don't know if confused, like I got it, but More like why was the question. Okay, Shashi. Now this is a great story. This is like something we would see way back in G.I. Joe after like some big climatic mission. Then the next issue would be something more like this, a smaller story, sort of addressing what happened. Now this story takes place after the monkey story in Lost Souls. We have Shashi, who died, and you know, they're not entirely wrong with what happens here. So the Jawbreakers are heading back to their base, which I think was in Nigeria, and they've got a server that they got somewhere. I can't remember if it was the Boko Haram guys who had it, or if they just found it on some other mission. But at any rate, Shashi comes back. She is tearing stuff up, and I love how they she's PO'd because she yells out here to Kuffs, who they loved each other for all of 45 minutes. "You left me." He says, "I heard your neck snap. I thought you were dead." She's crying out, "Then why didn't you bury me?" And then it goes back to sort of a flashback for her about the Boko Haram attacking her village. The things, you know, sort of very implied that they are going to force her to do many adult things, and she surrenders herself to that warlord. So it's nice, it gives some backstory, like, well, why would she be working with them? And here you go. And it turns out it's all in her mind. They got her hooked up to this computer, so now she can live out her days, you know, in happiness inside the Matrix. Poster by Sashi. The artist is Sashi, and the lady here is Shashi. Not confusing at all. All right, then we got, you know, I like this story. I think this story might be my favorite, but this one is quite good too. So this is the Chuck Dixon scripting Devil Dog story. Now, Devil Dog, who we didn't see in the beginning of the book because he died for whatever reason. So it goes back before he became Devil Dog. So I do have some questions about this as well, which we'll get into in a second. So it's all about him. He was a soldier, injured, came home, and he had PTSD. That's the implication, although it doesn't specifically spell it out. And he never really got over these missions. He gets back into the Marines. He is out. He gets captured by Al-Qaeda. Sort of torture. They try to make him do a video, and then he's a super awesome Marine, so he goes full Rambo and just murders everybody. It's I love this line here. "Hey, hey, it's Michael Bay," and then gratuitous explosions. So this is quite nice. Then at the end we see what looks like a younger Kuffs and Silkworm coming in to recruit him. Doesn't explain where he got this uniform or why he wears red, but I thought the British redcoats had discovered some years ago that is not the best color to wear into a battlefield. But at any rate, I quite love this story. It's well scripted, well written. The dialogue is good. The only thing I have a question about, and to some extent it's difficult for me to separate the art and the artist, because again, if you're a fan of Ya Boi Zack's videos, he talked about The Punisher, especially Punisher Season 1 on Netflix, where he was rather indignant that they made the Punisher have PTSD, and that's why he is the way that he is. And then, like, right here, buddy, it's like the same story. You got a soldier who had PTSD. He couldn't adjust to life back in the U.S., so he goes back in. And that's very similar to what he was complaining about. He complained that, well, you know, most of us, we came back and, you know, we adjusted just fine. Okay. Then why this? But at any rate, it's an excellent story. So, not talking about the art, was this book worth the $25? Yeah, I think so. The quality is good. I like the stories, even the first one, which I didn't like, the Godking one, which I didn't like as much. Part of the issue, I think, is that Zack's strong suit is really these military stories. Now, Zack and I are of similar ages, and we both grew up reading G.I. Joe comics, and that's when he really shines. The closer he is to, let's call it augmented military, where it's military like plus some special abilities, special features, whatever. His stories are pretty good. This one got a little far from that, but still overall good. I'm just very curious as to where he's going to go from here. Alright, so if you liked this video, leave a comment. Let me know what you liked. What did you think about this book? Click a like. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back probably tomorrow with another video about the art.